Oh my God, he's almost done it again.
No. Jesus,
he's a hapless buffoon.
Are we safe?
No, we're not safe. He's nearby.
Welcome to Cloud Reality's live and original podcast from Capgemini, and this week co-sponsored by AWS. We are live at the Venetian in Las Vegas at AWS reInvent 2025. I'm Dave Chapman.
I'm Esmee van der Giesen.
And I'm Rob Kernahan.
We are back. We are at the Yardbird in the Venetian. Hopefully you'll be able to hear maybe a little bit of that in the background as we go. And as if a continuation of a conference theme.
Oh my word, you couldn't have written this.
Just as we were about to start recording, Marcel manages to dump an entire pot of coffee or a cup of coffee all over Esmee's trousers. How are you feeling, Ez?
Well, to be honest, it's way more fun if it happens to you too.
oh right, yeah, observing.
That's the way it is it?
So maybe it's just karma, me laughing so much. So let's maybe, Marcel, make a promise that it was just a one time, because if we follow Rob's ritual, then it happens 3 times at least.
Yeah, you're going to get it in the next couple of days, that's for sure.
You didn't spill any meat. Sausage juice yesterday.
No, I have remarkably unscathed.
Sorry, I was looking forward to it.
I tried to keep it
I'm not sure that came out right there.
I tried to gloss over it. But...
And actually, Robert, given your track record, you've had a reasonably positive trip so far, I think.
Oh, David. Yeah, so far so good.
I hear you were guest of the day.
I checked into the hotel, got guest of the day. Massive upgrades, brilliant.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing.
Anybody know that was a thing?
Is he in a hotel?
Heathrow before he flew out.
Guest of the day.
Oh,
guest of the day. Come
I
on,
was
maybe
actually
feel special.
We're still in the same house, are we not?
No,
are you
no.
actually secretly
yeah.
going out?
Yeah. We're all having a conversation about who's the best guest. No, I got upgraded. It was very nice. Turned up. Very
palatial, good. A palatial apartment.
And then we had the security screening at the airport that allowed me to board with the early boarding group.
That's right.
Got right in front, sat there, all relaxed as you arrived on the plane.
I mean,
sweaty and tired.
You look thrilled by the whole thing.
It just kept going my way. I was like, oh no,
it's highly unusual.
It's highly unusual. This is I'm on the up. The other, I'm on the up. I've had the yang. Now I'm having the yin. This is it.
We'll keep track on that this week. Let's see. Let's see, shall we?
Yeah.
So, reInvent 2025. reInvent, always an interesting event. It is of colossal scale. If you haven't been, and we were talking about 70,000 people, something like that. Is that about right?
I don't know what it is this year, but it's usually maybe slightly higher than that. But yeah, it's a very well attended conference,
and it's both B2B. And it's both customers and engineering level and developers. Everyone's here. The builders here. Exactly. It effectively takes over the Venetian and the Palazzo on the Strip in Vegas.
And a few other, the Wynn and the Caesars Forum and all that.
That's right. The thing I like about that is it makes it feel very intense, very buzzy. It is absolutely packed most of the time. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they actually come out with, what they're going to be. There's some anticipation going in, but here's what they said. They looked like they were going to cover 7 things. AI everywhere, cloud infrastructure and hybrid strategies, sustainability and green, security and compliance, developer and DevOps innovation, exec level digital transformation. So we do culture, org changes, all that sort of stuff, product changes, and then finally immersive experiences and networking. Yep. What are our expectations coming in as from recent conferences we've been to? What are you kind of anticipating for the next week?
I think implementation, the pragmatic side of AI, and especially here, it feels like it's more under the hood. We just talked builders first. So I think the toolbox is extending, and we now actually see AI more as a tool, which makes it more, I think, easier to grasp and put into practice. And what I hope, and I think the conversations have been continuing about this for years now, to make it, skin in the game, value, business value. Are we really putting technology in a place where it adds value? So that's where I'm keen on listening to.
Roberto, expectations on the week?
pretty high. AI everywhere, as far as the eye can see. I agree with the point. Again, we're seeing the maturity kicking in, but I do think we'll see some. I'm hoping for some significant announcements, especially around the tech side, to make it a bit easier as well.
Given that we were at a certain other conference just a couple of weeks ago, if you haven't listened, maybe go back and listen to some of those episodes, particularly on some of the stuff that Ez was talking about, which was the maybe less big, flashy, paradigm-shifting announcements, and a seriousness and a deepening in terms of how some of the tooling and scaling is being thought about and treated. It'll be interesting to see if there are any read-across themes.
There are from the keynote this morning, David, and there was a word that popped out that was we discussed last time. And that word
Great
is
to think.
Frontier.
Frontier, is it?
And so there was and Matt had his keynote this morning. It was a good keynote. Frontier came out as a word.
How was it used? Give us the context.
Well, it's this was again around the big thing around creating agents that you can deploy within your organization that can work within your human teams that do things like DevOps support, security, development, Kiro, things like this. So you get this idea of human agentic workforces coming together. But these agents are far more autonomous than ever before. So you can let them away and do work for hours and hours and hours, and they come back and it's all good and it's useful. So there's a big part of that going on.
Yeah, this notion of specifically created agents to do specific roles.
Role personas, isn't it?
Yeah.
AI solves classes of problems. So we get it, we apply the context, then we stick it into our ecosystem. That's what we're seeing here as well. These class of problems like DevOps support agents that can take care of your system, do the on-call, all that sort of stuff.
Security and cyber.
Yeah, all there as well. So you work with them. So yeah, that was cool.
Then. Yeah, so you might have heard, so with the keynote has literally just happened. Do you want to give us the headlines from the keynote, Rob?
These are my headlines, David. There was a lot in there.
Did you make any up? Or is this broadly what you said?
Well, yeah, maybe I should stick a made-up one in and you have to guess. But no, not this time. There was a big thing about... the reason I've done this one is they've used the word ultra servers in it, and it's Trainium 3.
Is it the word ultra that you liked?
Yeah, and it's ability to 3-nanometer chip architecture, and it's a 4 times boost in being able to train your models. So you're taking training from months down to weeks. Huge improvement in the ability to actually, power everything.
I was about to say that theoretically must have a reduced power impact then.
Yeah, there's probably a good sustainability argument in there as well. There's the chip architecture changing, but there's a bit in there. A load of stuff around customer experience and operational efficiency around Amazon Connect and the agentic capabilities there. So, again, you said changing the experience.
Yep.
So that's all in. Very interestingly, AWS AI factories addressing sovereignty and massive scale deployments, which is you can get your existing data center space and put their kit in and get access to AI hardware acceleration. So think about it being able to put AI power into your own architecture, which is private. So that whole sovereignty angle of training.
Disconnected.
Yeah. It's just you rack it in and you connect it and it gives you access to horsepower to do it. So again, the sovereignty angles popped up around that, but you can have the best-in-class tech inside your own if you want it.
Right.
The next one was actually quite an interesting partnership, Visa Intelligent Commerce on Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, which is a bit of a mouthful, but essentially it's a secure, autonomous global commerce, so it's this trust layer for the agent economy.
Your de-jargonized explanation of it?
Yeah, this is the de-jargonized version of it. But it's the idea of it's an actual service that's usable. It's thinking about payments processing. It's a partnership play. It's out there. I thought that was quite an interesting side one. And then the final one, which I always like to say open ecosystems are better.
You have mentioned it before.
I know you're a closed ecosystem kind of guy. But AWS interconnects multi-cloud with Google, which means... you can put, it's a super fast connectivity between the two clouds.
Really?
So you don't have to worry about things like latency so much, and you can use capabilities in both of the environments and bring them together as a fusion, which I thought was actually quite cool.
I actually hadn't heard that one. That is an amazing dynamic shift.
Yeah.
And it's very much acknowledging the kind of multi-cloud architecture?
Yeah, it's a fully managed, very high bandwidth connection between the two clouds. So it's like, click, you're there, you're connected, you bring it all together so you can get the best of both worlds.
Will Google on stage?
That's a very good question, Dave. I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Did you make of that, Ez? Changing cloud dynamic there.
Yeah, it's the ecosystem full force. Now I think it's even a first step. Maybe it's even gonna blur more in the future.
But it used to be you're in this and maybe you'd supplement it with a cloud or something like that. But actually, you can just go to where you want the best-in-class capability and all just connect. That, connectivity is just everywhere all the time. It's just a continuing theme.
But also there's an acknowledgement that their customers have got both clouds, that each cloud has got something to offer. And actually, it sounds like a discussion that said, actually, you know what might be better than that is just connect the two and make it seamlessly integrate.
The question is, though, are we, our engineers, are we ready for that level of connectedness? Can you follow it? Is it going to live its own life?
Well, it definitely expands the horizon of, are you going to end up with people who specifically can do both clouds very well, and then they connect their service across? So will we design a solution that is intended to go across both clouds as opposed to just use it to shunt data around? So it'd be quite interesting to see what happens with that. But significant open ecosystem play, methinks.
Good stuff. Well, look, we're going to track all that during the week, and we'll have a number of interesting guests coming on to talk about the industry applications of this, as well as how the partner networks are going to function and the changing nature of services in the world of tech. What we're also going to do is we're actually going to continue the theme from the other recent conference of fact versus fiction, or the intersection of fact and fiction, and ask our guests what has either inspired or depressed them in terms of the world of tech that gets represented in the world of fiction, and is what we're seeing on the show floors this year closer than ever to what we think the science fiction future looks like. But let's get to our first guest, and I'm delighted to say that Chandra Pinapala, who's the Director of Global Strategic Partners at AWS, is with us. Hi, Chandra. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm very well, thank you. And this is a fantastic reInvent. And thank you, Capgemini, for sponsoring this reInvent. And I'm sure you are all having a good time meeting with all our customers.
Well, it's always an incredibly buzzy event, that's for sure.
It is lots of energy, isn't it?
One of the buzziest on the event calendar, I think. It feels so immersive when you're sort of in the bowels of the Venetian.
And very well organised. Very well organised.
Are you just trying to ingratiate yourself?
No. Just we should recognise the maturity that this conference is at. It's been going for a long time, and it's got it right down pat.
No,
Brilliant.
he's actually right. You can see the level of experience, the smoothness and flawless, and
very well. Excellent logistical points, you guys.
Yeah, it's very important. Very important.
And how's it been for you so far this year?
It's busy as usual, right? It's always busy at reInvent. But more importantly, I think I was sharing that in my LinkedIn post earlier this week, is that the spark in the human connections, right? It actually ignites a lot of ideas, right? I think that's the key for me. Yes, technology is important, partnerships are important, but I think the face-to-face conversations and the sparks that come out of that, the ideas that come out of it, I don't think any technology or even the best of the agents can ever replace that.
I think that's interesting, isn't it? And certainly resonates with me. When I used to come to these events as a customer, it was predominantly about what ideas am I going to bring away. It wasn't necessarily like I want to understand the toolkits, because you can Google that. It's very straightforward to find out that information. But you're right; it's in the conversation.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, what specifically about 2025 is catching your eye, do you think, in terms of where the agentic conversation's up to, where the evolution of AI conversation is up to generally? It's unexpectedly wall-to-wall in the conversation. But what's standing out for you?
So I think 2025 and 2026 both, right? Like looking back and looking ahead kind of thing. I think when we started off the year, right? I think it was more about, hey, are we still doing POCs, right? Especially
Right.
in the AI
Right.
and agentic AI kind of space, right? Like, how do we measure the ROI, right? Like, those kind of conversations were there, and there was also a lot of, I would say, concern, should I say, on the large partners like Capgemini, as an example, or Accenture or TCS. Like, how would this disrupt our business, right? Like, so
Right.
is the AI going to disrupt our business, right? Like, how should we adopt? What are our customers saying? So I would say that there was a lot of uncertainty at the beginning of the year, right? And fast forward, I think from AI now we are talking about agentic AI, right? We are talking about agents that can think, that can plan, that
Right.
can reason, that they can, most importantly, act as well, right? So the conversation has matured. I don't think it's any longer a conversation of about should you talk about AI, should you even experiment with AI, right? How would you, the conversation today is what's the best ROI that you can, which part of your business would you apply AI to get the highest impact, right? Like, so that's the big shift that I'm seeing. And even in our partners, right? I see some large partners has started to reinvent themselves very well, right? And I'm also seeing really nimble startups evolving who are doing really, really well
Right.
and kind of
Right.
bridging, I would say, the traditional partner categories of ISV partner, consulting partner is getting merged as well, right? I think that, and even if you think about the forward deployment engineer concept that Palantir pioneered, right? I think that is becoming very, very important in the new world as well. So I think all these learnings that we had over 2025, I think gives me a lot of inspiration as well as confidence that 2026 will be the breakout year for agentic AI.
Are you seeing, you mentioned startups there and smaller organizations. Are you seeing any discernible difference between a startup, let's say even 5 years ago, but certainly 10 years ago, in terms of its ability to scale and its reliance on humans to scale the organization? Are you seeing organizations in the agentic age already that are scaling faster and more effectively as a result of agent first?
100%, right? I think that's the big difference, because in the past I would say like the startups would probably look at like SMB segment, right? Like first get their spurs and like get that established credentials and then go to the enterprise, right?
Right.
Now what the agentic world is doing is you don't need to be really big to go and talk to, like, for example, Bank of America or Commonwealth Bank of Australia, right? Like,
Right.
you don't need 100 people team. You don't need 200 people team.
Yeah.
You could actually have a 5-member team who are really deep in technology, and rest of all are agents. So these are all your co-workers rather than your servants, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
So if you think about agents as your co-workers, you suddenly have like a 200-member team that can go and do the work that maybe a big organization used to do. So talent density within the startups is really making difference, right? Like, so that's the big difference that I see in the nimble startups that are now really rewriting the rules of consulting.
That was always a thing, though, wasn't it? You got a startup. They had great intelligence and spirit and an idea, but that scaling point was really complicated. And now using agentic, you can get it out there much faster.
Yeah,
so you can get the purity of your idea and push it much faster. I
worked in like a scale-up cloud integrator. We were at about 1,000 headcount, something like that. And one of the challenges we had was trying to break the relationship between bringing extra people in and bringing extra clients on. It was always far too close to one-to-one.
Yeah.
In scaling your business.
Yeah.
But this breaks that.
Yes,
quite substantially.
And it allows you to sustain a particular culture that you had at the very beginning, because the more people you bring into an organization, it does change your culture, and that's just the nature of humans. But actually, if you can use the agentic workforce better, then you can keep the purity of your idea behind it, I think.
Right on.
What do you see as the biggest Or do you see a change in how you do your own profession due to agentic in the way you manage your partnerships?
Yeah. So as I was saying, like earlier, right? Like the big part, two parts of my business or my job is one is obviously manage and help some of our biggest partners. The second part is on think through like what should be the strategy, right? Now, earlier you probably have to talk to like at least like 10 people, right? And kind of digest all of that information. I'm just giving one example, right? But now we have something called as Quick Suite. If you haven't tried, you should try that as well. That's a shameless plug for an AWS technology. But that helps me to kind of be my thought partner, right? And it becomes much more, it can do all of the research that I wanted, right? In a fraction amount of time, right? And it helps me be much more productive, right? And I was giving another example, right? Like, so when we have a meeting with Capgemini team, right? As soon as the meeting is completed, the meeting summary gets sent out, the action sent out. We don't have to do anything. It's super productive and super impactful, right? Or even if you think about the demos that the big car out there is doing, right? Like, think about how that simulation is happening now, right? Like, so that's all what the changes that the AI and agentic AI are going to do. But even in real life, right? Like, for example, now we are thinking about, we actually have a huge investment in smart manufacturing, right? Like, you are very big in manufacturing, right? Like, so using AI to do the smart manufacturing much better is something that we are now thinking about, like not just my own productivity improvement, but from a strategy perspective, where should we bring this into our partners to make sure that it aligns with their strengths, right? And where their priorities are. So I think that's how I think about like how AI is impacting for me.
If we maybe just zoom out a little bit and actually go back to the partner ecosystem that you're on top of, maybe characterize the evolution of that for us over the last 5 years, and specifically as you were talking about the changing nature of startup and scale up businesses as a result of agents. That must be really changing the dynamic in your ecosystem, because Amazon have always been a very partner friendly organization, driven a lot of business out through the partners, and that's a very active ecosystem. So how has it changed for you in the last 5 years? And like I said, what specifically are you seeing now at the agentic front end?
Yeah. I think, firstly, the change is constant, right? It's not like the evolution has stopped, right? Like, and it will continue to evolve in many different forms. But I think like in the past, at least in my world, which is the consulting business world, I think there was clear segregation between certain partners, like, for example, the Accenture, the Deloittes of the world, and then some of the India HQ partners like TCS, Infosys, Capgemini is a big Europe-focused partner, right? Like, so there was a lot of this segregation. Okay, these kind of partners are good for this. These kind of partners are good for this. That kind of segregation was there. I don't know if customers perceived it like that, but at least we thought perceived it like that, right? Like, but as AI and technology evolved, right? I think the partner capabilities are also evolving very fast, right? And I don't think today we can actually bucketize even within the consulting partners.
No, interesting.
Like,
geographically,
you can only do that, right? Like, so because it's changing the game. Like, as an example, right? Somebody like McKinsey would probably never do implementation in the past, right? Or PwC would never do something like, for example, managed services, right? Or Slalom would not think about having an offshore center, right? Like, but all that is changing because now AI gives them ability to go beyond what are their traditional capabilities, but also change the margin profile of their business, right? Like, so the other change that I'm seeing, that evolution, is that we also segregate between consulting partners and tech partners, ISVs, right? I think for the startups that we are seeing, the nimble startups, I see like this boundary between consulting and tech blurring,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't say like I'm an ISV. I'm a consulting, right? You build the product and you actually implement it because the customers want to skin in the game, but also this technology is so new that you would actually want it to be implemented as well.
It feels to me as well that, and this I think came in the introduction of cloud into enterprise, the iterative nature of exploration means, it doesn't lend itself very well to like, well, let's do a really predefined consulting engagement that's going to set out what our next 5 years is going to look like, because that's just not the way the world functions anymore.
It's the diversification, isn't it? So the fusing of how we operate, the way we think about it. Tech used to be kept at arm's length, and it was in the business, and now it's like totally permeates everything that we do, like the smart manufacturing you brought up earlier. It's nice to see the behavior changing of the organization, but what it does do is change how the ecosystem operates and the perception we need to have around the ecosystem. And I suppose there's a big part about we have to educate ourselves about those changing dynamics as much as anything else, so we know how we can interact differently.
Yeah.
So with all of the shift and the different nature, not only in terms of like what an ISV/consulting organization should be in this world, you've got that other dynamic you were talking about earlier, which is some of the startup and scale-up organizations can actually operate at more scaled level very, very quickly. So when you came to looking at your GSI strategy and kind of, I guess, iterating it based on the current world and current available technology and what AWS want to achieve, how distinctly different was it, do you think, this time around versus what it might have been 3 or 4 years ago?
I think there would be, I would say, like 3 aspects from a priorities perspective, right? Like the first, I think, as I said, the business itself, the GSI or the SI business itself, the consulting partner business is changing in the sense that all of us need to think about using AI, how we build our software, right? And what are the software development practices that we use, how we market those offerings, right? And how we sell, right? Like, is that an outcome-based pricing? Is it a gain share model? What's the kind of models that we use? So there's definitely a change in the way that you would build, market, and sell. So we have a framework called AIDLC that kind of helps you think through that as well, right? So that's one. Second, I think the from a customer perspective, right? Like you would want agents to help you do your business much, much better, right? That means focusing on your business workflows, right? Like whether if you are a bank, how would you do KYC much, much better, right? If you are an insurance company, can you do claims management much better, right? Or if you are a public sector company, public sector organization, how would you service your citizens much better? Like, can agents augment that? Can the agents make it better? Can the agents do faster, better, right? Or even create new value, right? I think that is very important. And for GSIs themselves, I think my recommendations would be that eat your own dog food. Before we go and tell the customers that you could actually do your business workflows better, I think we should transform our own internal process as well, because you are all also big enterprises, right? You have your own finance and accounting process. You have your supply chain process, your talent recruitment process. We should agentify all of that as well as a showcase to how we go to our customers together. So the AI DLC and the what we are calling as process to agent is a big priority. That's one. That's one big priority. The second, what we are also seeing, earlier the buying centers would primarily be in the IT organizations of the customers, right? And that is gradually shifting to the line of business stakeholders. So AWS traditionally has very strong relationships in the IT. How do we work together to appeal to the line of business owners, right? So that we can drive that value, tangible value to them. Sorry, you had a question.
I was going to say, in that, it's the changing business case associated with, you started with the return on investment. There's a lot of interesting challenge going on about it was a technology budget, it was a business budget, but actually the value's often out to the business. We need to think differently about how we construct our view of how to implement the technology and get the value back and who gets the benefit. And I think that I'd be interested in your view on the maturity of some organizations to be able to almost cross the streams with their budgets to say we have to share to get the greater good.
Yeah, I think it's always a fine balance, right? Like, so ultimately we need to serve the needs of the business, right? Like IT is just technology is a tool, right? It's not an end in itself. So I think as long as we keep that on at the center, I think we will the North Star will be fine, right? But the reality is also that the enterprise also needs security. Enterprise also need governance. And all of that is within the IT realm, the IT part. So both are important stakeholders, right? Like, so you should serve to the line of business leaders' needs, keeping in mind that the IT has the responsibility to build resilient systems that the line of business owners can count on, right? So I think it's a balance, not like pivot from one way to another, but I think the priority should be to the needs of the line of business owners.
So just going back to your strategy, just to make sure that we got all the way through that, you covered process to agents. What other aspects of the dimensions of the strategy of the ecosystem at the moment are important, do you think?
Yeah, so I think I would say like there are three priorities, just going back from a priorities perspective. There is one is about the consulting partner transformation itself, right? Like, which is both the AI DLC as well as process to agent, because what I was saying is before we go and talk to our customers. No, I'm not saying before, but in parallel to talking to our customers about workflows, we should do ourselves.
Do it to ourselves,
So that's one. The second, I think, is going and like being more relevant to the line of business stakeholders, right? Like, so that's the second one. The third, I think, both our large partners and to us to a large extent have been heavily focused on enterprise customers, at least in the business that I'm in, the consulting business, right? But I think AI and agentic AI actually gives us an opportunity to expand that into the SMB segment, right? And unlock that value, what technology can do for that segment, right? They also, it's a much bigger market, but like largely underserved as well.
Yeah, and actually, they have not maybe made some of the steps in the last 10 years that enterprises have. So there, some of them might be coming from an on-premise current state.
Correct.
So the opportunity to almost like leapfrog and learn from all of that last 10 years to accelerate their innovation.
Yes. And we may not be using the traditional channels to sell the SMB, to help them, right? Marketplaces could be a great way to kind of service the SMB market segment as well, right? So there are different strategies, right? But from a priorities perspective, these are the three priorities that I would say.
I think the latter is quite interesting if you're talking about culture, because SMB is that's a different culture, different way of working, and then having to deal with big enterprises that step into that market because it's suddenly more interesting, or to see, how you can help them. Do you see anything on that level if you talk about culture in the ecosystem?
I mean, that's a great question, by the way. And I would say like, cultural transformation and making sure that your teams are resilient for the new changes, right? Like, because I would say the resilient team is not the one that bounces back from a change, but one that expects change to happen, right? That is how you build resilience, and that has to be part of your culture. Right, so the culture is very, very important, right? And I think there is this famous saying, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? Like so you're very good point that cultural transformation is even more important. I don't think it's just the SMB culture, but also even for the large enterprise and even for us, like AWS. We do great length. We go to great lengths to preserve our culture, which is kind of manifested in terms of our leadership principles as well, right? Like, so that is like the number one priority, right? Like cultural transformation. And if you got something good going, then you're preserving that culture, even if you bring in new people, right?
And here, it's always I've always enjoyed the for the builders culture that you have about your strategy and ethos about how you present your services back to those who would consume them is distinct.
Correct.
And you've sustained that for the huge number of years you've been in the cloud market, which is it's nice to see. And in the keynote, it's still permeating all the way through as your style and your approach.
Yeah. Because reInvent is, first of all, it's a customer conference, partner conference, but also it's about learning, right? And that is where there is huge emphasis on so many different sessions that you can walk in and kind of learn, right? So the learning is a huge priority. Of course, meeting customers, partners is also an important priority.
So Chandra, thank you for sharing the insights into your world at the moment, particularly one like all aspects of what we do is moving so quickly. And to that point, really, one of the things we've been observing at the conferences this season is how it almost represents the science fiction that's been written for the last 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 years, either in film or TV or books. So I wonder if you've got anything that stands out for you that's come from that world of fiction that you think represents well, or perhaps more interestingly, doesn't represent well the world that we're in today.
So I'm always a glass half full person. So I'll give you a positive.
Very good.
Excellent. All right, there we go.
Right. So I'll go back to, I'm a film buff, but
very nice.
So I'll go back to Indian films, right? Like, and when I was a kid, which was long time back. There were like these movies where the hero or the protagonist used to create smaller versions of themselves, right? That fight with each other.
Right.
Okay. So it's their version, so they'll fight.
So a little avatar of you
avatars.
that would do have a go.
And that used to appeal to us a lot, right? Like because as a kid, I could create a bigger version of myself and kind of imagine that fighting with my friends as well, right?
Right.
Or play a game like football or volleyball, whatever, right?
Volleyball.
Or
What's
cricket.
volleyball?
It's India, so cricket mostly, right? Like so.
Yeah.
But like now, if I think about that, that's all coming. Like if you think about the Sora or the new Gemini's, what's that? The new image creation.
Oh, the Nano Banana.
Yeah, the Nano Banana. The real life avatars it can create, it kind of, whatever my childhood dreams are actually coming true. And I don't think it's too far out before the 3D images come out that I can actually tell them to fight or like make something or whatever, right? Like so that's going to be possible very, very soon. And if Mr. Musk has his way, we will have a lot of robots walking around well.
What would be the superpower of your avatar?
Superpower of my avatar. Go watch all of the Indian movies that have been released this year and give me the top 3 that I should watch now, but compress them into half an hour.
Yeah. that is actually, the standard ones are invisibility, ability to fly, but actually the ability to take all that entertainment in very quickly is cool. I like that.
That's the sort of thing you do, isn't it?
Yeah, take it in all fast.
Yeah, but only at 1x speed. Well, look, thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us today. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Want to dive deeper in today's topics and what they mean for you and your business? Drop us a line at cloudrealities@capgemini.com. We're all on Substack and on LinkedIn, so connect, DM, and send us your questions for future episodes. And hey, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps us improve the show. A big thanks to Chandra, our sound and editing wizards Ben and Louis, producer Marcel, and of course for you for tuning in. See you in another reInvent reality soon.